getting ready to do some detail on the wings today. This is a heat treatment that I use to color the dragon and give him that kind of a color of a dragon that I really like to see. And when I heat treat it, it really warps the material quite a bit. So what we do to get the skinning done is we weld on the steel before the heat treatment. If I was to try heat treating it, which I did try, heat treating the metal before we weld it on, it curls and warps quite a bit, and it's a real fight to get it on the wing. So I'm about to start blending this raw material into the heat treated material, so then it'll look kind of like this side. It'll all just blend into one big skin in the wing. This tiger torch is just for heating, and it's a larger flame, bigger than one you'd use for welding or cutting. I heat the metal in long streaks, and then I do a long streak, and then beside that, and beside that, and beside that, and it gives that length and texture going up the wing rather than heating it in small areas and making it patchy. So what we're doing today is I'm going to show you how this texture is made. So these dimples started off by hammering with a hammer in a sandbag, and using a ball peen and the round end of a ball peen hammer. And today we're going to use a power hammer instead. So this speed hammer is about 110 years old. It was lent to me from a friend, and since then I've ended up purchasing it because I've needed this hammer for what I do, and it's been a lifesaver. I would be doing all of this by hand if it wasn't for this machine. This speed hammer's powered by a foot pedal. This foot pedal is hooked up through that chain to a clutch drive. Behind the clutch drive is a crankshaft, and that crankshaft is similar to a car. It has an arm that is in a kind of an egg shape, and it goes around and it drives the piston up and down, and that's what makes the hammer go up and down. So the harder I push on the foot pedal, the harder it drives that piston and allows me to do the hammering. This is a wing covering, so depending on the texture of what I'm building, some of the texture is larger. I hammer larger dents into it, but these are more speed dimples, I would call them, rather than making real heavy hammering and making larger dimples like I did on parts of the body. This is a little finer look for a finer detail. Once I start hammering, I try to hammer about an inch apart, and then I just keep going. I look for blank spaces, and I just keep going. Usually I'll start in the middle and work my way out. We want these to be curled around a piece of pipe, so working from the middle out, it'll actually start forming from the hammering, and it'll give it a round look to it. It's important when hammering and when you're using the clutch to not move your piece until the head stops moving. If the head is still going up and down and you move it, you're just going to get a chatter across your surface. So it's really important that you wait, you don't move it, and you allow that head to stop moving before you move your piece. Otherwise you'll just get hammer marks all over your piece. I've had Josh hammering wing pieces today. He's been working on this machine all morning, and he's doing a good job, so I'll show you the pieces he's making, and these are the cover pieces that we'll be putting on the wing. These will make up the fingers for the wing. These structural pipes inside, This is to give the wing strength, and now we're going to be putting the finishing work on the wing, and that's how these will go on. They cover up the welding. There's some knuckle pieces that we'll be fabricating that kind of flare out and then go skinny again, so it'll give it that kind of a knuckle joint in the wing bone, and yeah, and they look pretty good. As we get these done, these will be on both sides, so there's quite a bit of work to do. Josh will be hammering for about a month. So this is the largest claw on the Dragon, and I've had Corey doing all the texture welding on here. So the reason we do this is just so it doesn't look like a plain piece of metal. We wanted to put some texture on it, give it that feel of similar to what I've done on the head with the horns and the spikes. Gives it a lot of texture, it darkens it, and just gives it something that it looks like a lot of work went into. And so these claws mount to the front of the wing on each side, and these are basically what the Dragon would use to crawl on the ground or hook into a wall and climb a wall with them. All the welding that's done on here creates a lot of heat, and it actually shrinks them in a little bit. So I ran these in an English wheel to put a bit of a crown on them to help prevent that. But there was so much welding and so much heat in here, even bouncing around between the claws and the different sides to try to control and keep the heat down, it still sucked it in a little bit. So we're gonna put a press inside of here and just press out some of the dents and give it a nice convex curve to it and look a little more natural.